ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, maybe, I don't know whether it is now new or not. For me, it was new 10 days before. But so much of literature or news or it was coming on the internet. So we don't know whether it is new or not. But anyway, we have two very important speakers. First of all, Professor Pant. I welcome you, sir, to this webinar. Professor Pant actually doesn't need any introduction to this group, rather to others also in the education academic field. But just a brief 2 minutes. If I start giving his introduction, the whole webinar will be over. But just a few points. As all of you, Professor Mukhopadhyay, sir, he said that he was Pro Vice Chancellor Indira Gandhi National Open University, but he's the founding Chancellor of Networked University of Multimodal Global Education Exchange, and he was appointed by the Governor of Chhattisgarh. He was a postdoctoral fellow with the University of Western Ontario and many more. All these things are available on the net. I don't want to go into the detail. But the few points I want to highlight. He did several innovations, like he introduced the Keller Plan. All of us, we know, those who are in the education, knows about the Keller Plan of teaching of physics. He developed computer-supported learning systems and he implemented in IGNOU and did wonderful things. And I still remember, and my colleagues from IGNOU, those who are present here, still remember. And many more innovations. What his present activities, work, or project is that he's thinking about systems which are going to transform education by the use of technology. So, like he's talking about, writing about learning metrics, education, informatics, always a thinker of the next generation learning. So, the point I want to introduce, he is analytical, individual academician, thinks on his toes. So, by qualification, physics, taught in IIT from IIT Kanpur, a lawyer, but many innovations he has done about how we learn and the psychology of learning. Welcome, sir, to this webinar.
Thank you, Madhu.
Our second speaker is Dr. Ramesh Sharma, again for the ETMA community, and others who have been attending this webinar. We know all of him. Again, a brief point. Presently, he's the Director of Human Resource Development Center from the Ambedkar University, Delhi, worked with many international organizations like Wawasan Open University in Penang. He was Director SEMCA, COL. He was visiting professor to University of Fiji. And of course, he has also been introduced as a former colleague of Indira Gandhi National Open University. Several articles, several books to his credit. What I want to introduce him as the speed with which he works. What I have observed, especially through ETMA, anything is given to him, he is back after 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So like me, I keep thinking on what to respond, but he sends in 5 or 10 minutes. And that's what the main introduction of Ramesh is. Thank you so much. We all know I will not get into the more details because I will be wasting time of all of you. But the most important subject today is the ChatGPT, which is an AI-based, you can say, application, but it is going to challenge the future of education. When we are talking about the future of education and learning, it's going to challenge it. Now, the structure of today's presentation will be, I invite Dr. Ramesh first to speak. Of course, before that, to Professor Pant to chair this session. Dr. Ramesh will be talking about for 20 minutes, then Professor Pant. Then we will have a dialogue between all of us. We can ask questions. And then again, Ramesh will come and the final comments by Professor Pant. So over to Ramesh.
So today my name is Chat RCS. Good morning, friends. Uh, we what this thing it has been taken whole of the world as storm is that there are other applications in terms of even if we see technology like Netflix, it took around more than 2 years to get 1 million subscribers, and then Facebook, it took around more than 1 year in getting 1 million subscribers or followers on their platforms, and like that. But last year, somewhere in October, November, when I was going to say Chat RCS, Chat GPT, when it was introduced, it within only 5 days, million, and then it crossed. And the situation arises, it is still persists that if you try to log in, it will say that, oh, we are all busy, please come back after some time. And then it will start, in a very funny way that I'm writing a poem, I'm writing a rap for you or something. So this is really very phenomenal that we have seen, although Pant sir has been telling about that AI is going to revolutionize everything for past many years. I think now on a massive scale, the people, they have realized the potential of it, that all the newspapers, the magazines, the media, the television channels, everything is talking about it. And the recent development, which you must have seen just 2 3 days ago, that Google was, means there were some discussions going on that if the Chat GPT is going to kill Google search or not. Those kind of apprehensions were also there. So the Google has also come up with their own product. It is called as Bard, and ChatGPT has taken a dig at that, saying that Google, with a workforce of more than 150K people, and they have come up with the name of Bard for that. And you all been knowing that their stock market, just went south by $100 billion or something, because the first demo uh, could not perform as they were expecting about it. So first of all, what is this GPT? This is called as generative pre-trained transformer. A whole of this science has begun using the large learning models. So this is the basic technology behind these applications. So they are AI, basically AI conversational tools, in which the natural language processing, which is the power of artificial intelligence, we can say that we can say computer vision, which identifies a particular object. If you want to say that, okay, this is a pen, so the machine should identify that this is a pen and not a spoon or spear or anything else. So that is the image recognition which comes. The another application is natural language processing, in which the machine tries to understand that how we are going. And these models, they use that feature of AI techniques so that it can respond to the user generated prompts. So simply what we do is that we ask a question, which in technical terms it is called as a prompt, and then it replies using natural language. And that's a unique thing about it. It becomes so confident in giving the answer that it looks like yes, that is the correct answer which it is generating. That, so what is done here is that there are, and particularly now there are many applications. In fact, Google came up with its AI conversational tool, which is named as Lambda, LAMDA, which is a dialogue assistant for it, and it is also very very powerful. That was, means, I think few years ago they came with that. So that means, but then this Chat GPT, which is a product of Open AI, the team led by Sam Altman and other colleagues who developed this software. You may be knowing that Open AI is the platform which was supported by Elon Musk. So the investment was in by that. So that is there. And the basic technology which goes behind it is simple, the GPT, which is 3.5, which goes into it. And now GPT-4 is soon going to be launched. And Microsoft is investing very heavily. And in fact, they have integrated it in their Bing, the search engine, that it will be. And they are looking forward to it, that their user base will increase much more. So let us see the functionality of that, what it can do. And let me share my screen, that how we can use this powerful tool. So this is the home screen of it. To use it, we need to create an ID on OpenAI.com, this platform. And initially, nowadays, anyone can open it. Previously, it was a wait listed situation. And now to use it, so there are means this the facility is that we can ask any question to it, and it has been trained on a very large data set. So please remember that it may not predict the forecasting or the future things. As you can see here, there are these three things, that the examples on how you can use it. So the way we can ask the questions, these are called as the prompts. The capabilities means what it is capable of. So it remembers what we have said to it in our conversation. They are solved. Nowadays, previously, we were not able to delete our conversations, but now that facility has been created, so it deletes from our end. But whatever goes into their servers, into their databases, they are using it to train it further. And then you can have a follow-up of your corrections or conversation. And then a very serious thing about it, that it is trained to decline the inappropriate request. So if somebody is try to seek some response from the software on things which are unethical, or some sort of crimes against children, women, and those kind of things, it may refuse to that. The software has some limitations. The biggest limitation is this, that it has been, which is going to be covered in its next version, which is based on GPT-4, that the data on which it has been trained was up to 2021. So if we ask that what is going to happen in means this year, or in the future next years, it may report that my database which has been trained on it, that way. So there are two modes of it. One is the light mode. If you click in, you will see the background in the light, and there is another dark mode. So this is dark mode, which is on my settings. And you simply, its interface is very plain. Something like the Google search engine, it has only that search box into it. And we post our questions here. There are various things that how to make a good use of this platform in asking any question. And there are so many things which it creates for us, means how to do that. But before we go into that, there are few things which we need to know about ChatGPT. One is that the about its privacy policy, or some other things. The privacy policy of this platform, it says that the data can be shared with third-party vendors, law enforcement, affiliates, and other users. So that goes with that. And then this tool should not be used by, say, the under the data protection applications, or like children under 13 or the kind of the legal positions into that. And then you can request to have your ChatGPT account deleted, but the prompts which we generate into it, the inputs which we give, they cannot be deleted. So this is very important, that if we are asking our students to provide some input in the form of prompts, then they need to be sensitized that what can be a sensitive topic or what can be a controversial topic, and then how to go about it. The another current challenge is that it is not always trustworthy, which has been openly admitted by Mr. Sam Altman, the leader of the team who developed this software, that although it is very bold, it is very confident, and it can, it looks like the answer, but that is the semantics and the syntax of the language it produces. So from grammatical point of view, the structure of the sentences, the wording it uses, it is wonderful there. But since it has been trained on a massive data set of text written by humans, by us, which it pulls from the internet. And so what can happen that if we keep on feeding, we can corrupt the system. You keep on feeding negative information that goes into the servers, into the crawlers, into the databases, and these things, they are retrieved from there. So as in computer we say GIGO, garbage in garbage out. So what happens that the responses here, they can reflect some sort of bias of the, means, because that text has been used of the training data set. And then another thing is that it is not connected to internet. So it may not act as a search engine as we use in case of other, like Wolfram Alpha, or Yahoo search engine, or Google search engine, or something. So that affects it. And then these FAQs and update which you see in the left, it is always a good idea to read these updates, because it keeps sharing the latest of what is happening and there. So it tells us that it may occasionally produce some of the instructions which may be harmful, or the content can be biased from there. And then the kind of responses it produces, then it cannot say, we can we can ask our questions, that it produces the kind of the responses which we want to generate from there. So the another thing is that we are using this software as the free application, but in a way we are training the database. Like in our Learning 321 group, there were some experiments that what is 2 plus 2, so answer should be 4. But if you tell it that no, this is wrong answer, the answer is 5, so it may admit that, oh, I'm sorry, and you are correct. But then somebody will tell it that no, 2 plus 2 is 4. So the things, because it is learning from it, the kind of inputs which we are inputting into them, so that way it goes from there. Then let us see its potential, its applications, that for education what it can do. Like it can write essays for us. Suppose if I tell him that it is not necessary that you use please or not, but it is always a good idea to be humble towards the software. So please write an essay, and you can define in say 500 words or whatever on, you can say, internationalization of higher education. You can say, if you want to make it more in detail, in India, or you can say Southeast Asia and something, and then just wait. So it will keep on writing that essay for you. Now you can see the kind of the sentence structuring it does, that looks very impressive. It let's say, so internationalization in India, internationalized higher education has been driven by the desire to create a more globalized, interconnected society, this, that, etc. And like that. So see, it is generating the whole essay for us and then providing its logic. And as soon as its response is completed, on the left, it will create that thread so that you can always currently it is saying it new chat, and then it will identify the main thread, and you see it is writing internationalization uh, of higher education or something. Okay, it should come on my screen. Okay, so that is here. Yes, international, you see. So now the thread is saved, and you can edit the name, or if you want you can delete by deleting this button and clear. Otherwise you can use these clear conversations, and all those things which have been there, they will be cleared. Another application, if you want, you can say you are going to teach some topic in your classroom, and you want the software to help you in preparing your say lesson plan. So you can say write a lesson plan on photosynthesis for say class 6th, and so here this is creating the lesson plan. Title is giving title, grade level, duration, objectives, the materials, and instructions, introductions, and it is giving you the time set that like the introduction can be for 5 minutes, direct instruction goes for 20 minutes. You are showing the students a visual aid that illustrates the process of photosynthesis. I'm trying to ask the information, but an error occurred. Okay, Dr. Kashyapi says that, yeah, sometimes depending on how many people they are, logged into the system, it may, what you can do in that case is that keep on refreshing the page, and give it say like 3 seconds gap, and sometimes as soon as any other person who is using that closes their session, you will get that link. So see here, it has produced conclusions, it has given extend assessment, and then an extension all. So that way it has written the lesson plan. It also helps you to create a curriculum or a syllabus for you, say for example. And then the important thing is that how do we tell the software? You need to be exactly clear. You can write as long as anything means instructions. The more, the better it understands what we want it to do for us. So here, say like you can also say that please act like a legal advisor. I have been fined for traffic violation. Please suggest me a way to represent my case for waiving of the fine. So let us see what it will say. I just thought of it. So you see, I don't have the ability to provide legal advice or represent you in court. However, I can suggest you some general steps. So if you have been fined for traffic and would like to review the violation, gather evidence. If you believe that you did not commit the violation, gather any relevant. Consider mitigating circumstances. If you did not commit, but there were mitigating circumstances, consider them. Seek legal advice, and like that. So be respectful. Yeah, it is giving you these suggestions. You want to prepare a course syllabus for, you can say, digital citizenship. I want to teach to my under undergraduate, say, students. Okay, let's say. So here, this is writing the now the syllabus for us. So it is providing the course description. It is writing the course objectives, that to understand the impact of technology, to learn about online privacy, this, that. It is suggesting some textbooks. But about these textbooks, about the references, I need to caution that there have been experiments which I also did about asking the software, say, to write a literature review with citations and references into it, and it generated those citations. It gave me references, but they didn't exist when I checked it. And that reference, the style in which it was written, it was completely okay. I told it that please write the references in APA style, and that way it did that. There are means that is the power of it. So here it is the syllabus it has created. And then, say, if you go to the you can say, uh, where we can go. Okay, if I ask it to go for photosynthesis and say, okay, this one, National Geographic, here is the topic, the URL. I can simply ask it. That is the advantage for research scholars, those who have to convert them. So please convert this URL to APA style, and here is the conversation. You see, it gives you both the suggestions, that what can be the in-text citation and how will you write it as a reference from there in a particular. And simply you can ask it, okay, then in MLA style. So it converts into it. Means, you can go there, and particularly like we were in our this uh, say, internationalization here. So anything which you are still continuing, if you can still say like more, simply more, it will understand that you want to learn more about it. So, and it will continue giving you more references, information about that. So this is an advantage for the research scholars who are. Similarly, for teachers, if you are preparing some lesson plan, you can ask it, write learning outcomes for my topic, which is, say, I can say, learning styles and personality of students. So see, as we do it in our teaching learning, upon completion of this topic or course, you will be able to do something. And you can see that the kind of action verbs it is using, like describe, identify, understand, analyze, develop. So from lower order up to higher order thinking skills, it is suggesting that you will be able to apply the concepts of learning styles, and those things, they are there. Now, another good point means of its power is that even it can help us in preparing our question papers for examinations. And simple, if you ask it that prepare a question paper for me for the topic, say, personality, having 5 questions. Each question is of 20 marks. Give, you can say, sub questions as part of main question, so that students have the choice of selection. Let's see what it will create for us. So it is preparing personality question paper, total marks 100, 20 marks per question. Question 1, explain the concept of personality and its development, that's total, and then it is saying, define personality, explain its importance in psychology, 5 marks, discuss the nature versus nurture debate in personality development, describe the stages of personality, and then the second question, describe the trait theory of personality and its major contributors, explain big 5 personality traits and their significance, 5 marks, this, that, etc. So, and I asked it to create, I think, 5 questions. So it is going to give me 5 questions.
Yeah, Ramesh, this is very interesting examples. We will have to listen to Professor Pant also, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So you want me to stop, or I can show some of the
Yeah,
other app
maybe
features?
little after Sir Professor
Okay.
Pant. Yeah. And we can have another occasion also.
So let me stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Yeah, very interesting examples. I think whether some of us will think that it can be unethical, some of us, as teachers, we can think that half of our job is done. It is effort of the teachers to make it much more quality or more effective. Sir, now we want to listen to you.
Okay, so thank you, Madhu, and thanks to Dr. Ramesh Sharma for such a wonderful presentation and getting people excited about it and show them that they can use it very easily. I am not quite sure what I'm going to say, but I think I will respond to two things. One is a slightly more detailed understanding of how these things work, their limitations, and eventually the question which is in everybody's mind, how do humans and AI work together? So very often we like to fight and we therefore say AI will replace humans, or this is there, or like what you said, ethical questions, whether it is cheating or not. This is one of the biggest questions today. Now, if a person uses a dictionary, you say, is it cheating? He didn't know the meaning of the word. He looked up a dictionary to find the meaning of a word. He used thesaurus to find this thing, or he used encyclopedia to know a little bit more about it, and you say that. So this is very interesting as to where do we start saying that this is his work and this is not his work. And the this question has been addressed by the Greeks long time ago. Those of you who have an interest in philosophy must have heard of the ship of Theseus problem. So here is the ship of Theseus, and you are one by one replacing it by something else. Finally, you replace everything. Is it the same ship or is it a different ship? Well, I'll not get into those things because ethics, but I want to come straight to some very interesting things. Uh, First is there's a very famous thing which senior people know. It takes several years to become an overnight success. People say 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, and we are seeing this GPT as an overnight success. Dr. Ramesh Sharma gave the data. It was launched on 30th November, and now it has more than 100 million subscribers, and so on. And we see this as an overnight success. But the seeds of this were sown, and I have seen in 1968 itself. And I will urge you, whenever you get time, you can just make a note of the word and then Google them at leisure. Or now we can say you can do ChatGPT or whatever you want with that. So Eliza was the first conversational chatbot that had been created. And you typed in, and it was almost a human-like conversation. So for a long time, people have been trying to create, because, and I'll take some time to explain to you the evolution of computing also. See, computing, if you look at the name itself, talks about calculation. It had nothing to do with conversation. The very name computing means something to calculate, and that is what it was used for first. And we had these languages like Fortran, etc., which will help you solve a mathematical problem. And as many of you know, the thing was there was a problem. You had a method of solving it, which is called an algorithm. You use the programming language like Fortran, or you may use Pascal or Python today or whatever, and you got the answer. That is what a computer did. And it had very little to do with people who were not doing mathematical calculations or similar. Then what happened, started doing file management, large files it could do, and businesses started using computer for business operations, and the language for that was called COBOL, and that was the language for file processing. And most of you would have gotten into computers at the time when relational database was the important thing. Whether it was DBase 3 or Excel or whatever, there was a database model which had come in. So you put in a lot of information, and as Ramesh said earlier, garbage in, garbage out was true then, it is true now. You gave a lot of data, and from that you could do that by writing programs with file management and so on. But in database, you could use just query language. And therefore, a lot of people could start using that. The shift into AI is the algorithm became a learning algorithm. And that was the one which shifted. And I will give you the most precise definition of a learning algorithm, which is from a book by Thomas Mitchell on machine learning. And it says, and this is very important because then we will appreciate and not get terrified or over mesmerized by the technology. It says a learning algorithm for a given task T with performance measure P is such that the performance measure P improves with experience E. This summarizes everything about AI. That means it is for a given task. If there's a certain kind of a task which can do, and as Ramesh said in the beginning, which can recognize your face, if it can recognize your voice, if you can, even for example, ChatGPT can do text, but if you give a scanned thing from a book which has the diagram, it cannot do this. It cannot interpret a diagram right now. And the diagram of physics and the diagram of chemistry and the diagram of biology are different. So if you take question paper which is coming to you, just try to put it in ChatGPT, it will give answer only to text type questions. That is what it has been developed for so far. This is what we should always appreciate. Similarly, you know, in that ChatGPT, there's a disclaimer, it is not connected to the internet. So only data which has been fed into it, and it says last was 2020 or so. So it doesn't know the latest thing that are happening and so on. Google wanted to do better. And Ramesh talked about the Bard story and based on Lambda. So Google wanted to say that we will train on that model. We will also give access to internet. Our search engine is built, and we will have something better called Bard. And with great excitement, they pronounced the opening of Bard, etc., just a few days ago. And as Dr. Ramesh Sharma has said, it was a fiasco. And I will tell you the details of the fiasco. So like Dr. Sharma gave examples, explain this like this, do like this, do like this. Google's Bard, the thing they were showing to everybody was explain the James Webb Space Telescope to a 9-year-old. Now, the reason they picked this up is that many scientists have said that you only know something if you can explain it to a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old. Sometimes they say if you can explain it to your mother, whatever. The point was, can you explain something in simple terms? This was the showcase thing which they did. And like the demonstration which Ramesh Sharma has given, Bard gave some answers. But in that thing, it ended up saying that James Webb Space Telescope is the first one to have discovered something called exoplanets. And exoplanets are the planet things which are not orbiting around the sun, but around some other sun or some other galaxy or whatever. And this is what they were showing. And you imagine, Google has launched this, had this example showing everywhere, etc. I don't know what internal testing they were doing. Obviously, Sundar Pichai doesn't know much physics and so on. And then a physicist said, but this is wrong. The first picture of an exoplanet was taken long before James Webb Space Telescope was launched. And then NASA confirmed it. And you know, there was a 9% drop in the share prices of Google, and it lost $100 billion. All Adani's scandals, management, etc., equivalent to one mistake. And I teasingly say, most of you know that I'm a physicist by training. I said, all this because of a physicist. If they had shown it to a physicist earlier, they would have saved themselves a lot of trouble. So now but this is a very good reality check. So rather than become blind followers of technology, you are saying that this has to be checked. And I want to emphasize this. We should understand computers will make mistakes because of, as Ramesh said, garbage in, garbage out. That principles are not there. And you must understand when doing all this, the computer doesn't understand anything. What it does is high level computation and matching phrases, etc., which inside is vector mathematics and so on, but it has not understood any concept. And that's why you see sometimes things which are very, very absurd. But there is also evidence that humans also make mistakes. Our entire society, I mean, if humans didn't make mistake, there would be no need of a high court judge, a supreme court judge, the trial court judge would have been fine. Sabne wahi LLB pada, sabne wahi statutes padi, same law is there. It is not that as if the Supreme Court judge has read another law which is different from the Indian Penal Code or Indian this thing. So all judges have read the same law. So why do we have this system of appeal? Because we know that humans can make mistake. Similarly, so our model therefore will be that whether it is a human output or a computer output, we treat that as something to be examined. And that is where the scientific method and critical thinking become essential. Whether the computer has produced it or a human has produced it, you don't give up critical thinking. And I want to now give you an example of a huge, I would say, conceptual error by the great people who have articulated the new education policy 2020, of which a lot of halla gulla has happened. I don't know. And very recently, all of you are in education, you know, NCRT has come up with something called NCF 2020. And of that NCF 2020, the foundation stage work has been complete. And there is a 360-page document, which the NCF 2020 says foundation stage, available on the internet. And that's where I got it from. Now, there, when it's talking to children and talking about things, and I have that page extracted from this again, I think it is page 325 or something, where it says that they will explain to children that multiplication is repeated addition. It is absolutely interesting. So, and it is very interesting. Many people have grown up. I've done this several. You ask them what is multiplication, they will say repeated addition. I say very good. So 3 into 2 is the same as 3 plus 3. So you get 6. Right answer. Very good. And now I say, without changing the rule that multiplication is repeated addition, what is half into half? And a lot of them sometimes say 1. Some of them say 1 upon 4. But I said, what rule did you apply? You didn't add anything. And this is going on in this document, 360 pages, meant for crores of children, and so on. So if we say Bard, GPT had an error, the human bunch of, and this has brilliant people in its committee. Absolutely. And none of them as an individual will not know that half into half, you don't add anything to get 1 upon 4. But they've all written it. So the point I'm saying is we have to move to the thing. And this is what human query is about, trying to find out what is correct and whatever method. So therefore, eventually, what I'm trying to tell in terms of what Madhu said, we have to make this work together. So when we do a lot of things, we want some quick. So typically, any output from ChatGPT can be seen as a draft for approval. It doesn't say that you take it automatically. And that is why, you know, even today, there is so much discussion in law, etc., whether you can take the output of AI as final. So you say, no, you will. Even in many strategic things, in defense, you don't want to allow an AI to take the final control of whether to shoot a missile or not. There's a very nice book called Army of None, which talks about these kind of things. So this is the basic point. And you will see, if you remember, I said it improves with experience. So these will all become better and better. What you are seeing today is not what you will see tomorrow. In 6 months' time, there will be better and better thing, and many more applications will develop. applications for education are something which is very interesting. There are lots of videos which will give you more information on that and so on. So I would now rather respond to any queries, comments, observations. And as Madhu said, probably you'll have to do a number of sessions on GPT with specific focus. GPT for this, GPT for that, GPT for this, and so on and so forth. Okay, thank you, Madhu.
Sir, excellent analysis as always. So I know technology will keep, they will keep innovating, like whether it is Google or Twitter or anyone else. But we, the teachers, need to learn how to use this technology. That is it.
And applying our minds to it.
Yes.
Not that is most important.
Provided we have that one.
No, but you raised a very interesting thing. This is my fascinating thing which I'm talking to everybody today. Do you know that there are birds which have wings but cannot fly? The ostrich is a classic example. The emu is one. The dodo is one. And the chicken, which we eat every other day, they all have wings, but they can't fly. So as Professor Mukhopadhyay said, I personally worry about having human beings who have biological brains, but don't know how to use them. And the role of educators is to help you use your brain.
Well, Binay has a question, Madhu.
Yeah.
Yes, now we are open for the question answers. There were some in the chat which Ramesh has already answered, but still we have more. But we are open for now the question answers. So Professor Chinnappa.
Binay, please unmute. Binay, unmute, please.
Excellent presentations by the two humble scholars. I'm just, before joining this, I have reviewed what the rectors of universities in Sweden are talking about the impact of ChatGPT will have on the academia. Two terms have been used, and it has been referred already. Academic plagiarism. How do we go about it? This is very important. The second one about what Dr. Ramesh has talked about, garbage in, garbage out. How do we address these two issues in a way that there will be still critical thinking and collective wisdom shared by the learner with the enabler, the facilitator, who is the professor or the supervisor? Please, can you elaborate on that?
So first, let me begin with this garbage in, garbage out thing. Now, already when we deal with big data, this becomes a very critical issue. And there is a stage of cleaning the data before operating on it. And in fact, I in my calls them as data washing machine. I said, you first have to have a data washing machine which will get it out and so on. So similarly in academic things, when you get to a certain thing, you will have, you will have some filtration mechanism where you will apply whether it is scientific approach, whether it is falsifiable, whether it is this thing, all critical thinking, whether there is embedded fallacy, there is embedded biases, and then pick up. Now, actually, I will share with you because I've been a lawyer for a long time. So when things come to a law court, this is what happens. The plaintiff will write his plaint with everything. The defendant will write his written statement with everything. And the first task of the judge is to frame the issues. Therefore, in an academic discussion, we will start framing, and we do that in good. We say, what are the issues for discussion? What is agreed by both parties? There is no need to worry. What is ignorant, irrelevant, etc.? No need to worry. What are the issues for discussion? And on that issues, we frame those issues and then conclude each issue by issue that this is what we have concluded. So this will start becoming the approach. What has happened is, in the previous time, we were only interested in information being stored and preserved for people, and that is why the memorization cult was important, because we had no photocopying, we had no reprographic, we had no storage. The only storage was in the minds of fellow beings. So I have no hesitation. I come from that. I can still tell you that pi is 3.14159.265, log pi is 0.4972, square root 2 is 1.414, square root 3 is 1.732, and so on. It was a useful skill at that time because we were both going to use log tables. By the time you use log of whatever you think pi, I already know it is 0.4972, so I have a speedhead. Today, what is more important, we all know the value of log pi. What do we do next? And I think that is what education is all about, what Professor Mukhopadhyay said about using your brain. and going to the next step. The memory part of using the brain is over. The other part, and especially the creativity and imagination part, to find the idea that there can be multiple ways of doing things and you find the most appropriate. I'm not using the word best because best can be different on different contexts. So in my
Well,
context, what is most appropriate?
we have structured this session so that once the questions are there, Ramesh and Dr. Pant will again come back. So maybe like Shauli is on the queue.
Okay.
Instead of responding to each question,
Yeah.
let's collect the question so that
Fine.
Pant can conclude.
And also,
Before
let
that,
me also tell you, the session will be
Ramesh
over
can-
in a few minutes. After that, you can always catch me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on WhatsApp. I'm not on TikTok.
Otherwise, you are not a qualified professor. Unless you are all these social network, you are not a qualified professor.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah, let us listen to Shauli, what she has question.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. It was a really enlightening lecture for me uh, because of the new idea that has been now introduced by artificial intelligence, and we being being related with social sciences, not so much concerned with this kind of new ideas, or rather feel scared of using this for the first time once we hear it, just like our children used to do and try their hands with all this artificial intelligences. So my question, I have tried to understand, or I have already registered my name and will be trying my hands too with this chat GPT. I want to know from Dr. Ramesh, what are the threats that could be there, because we are totally new in this field, and might be unknowingly we could do something that might be a threat to us. Because once I was registering my name, they're asking for mail as well as WhatsApp and everything. We have to mention there and register through that. So what could be the probable threats that we should keep in mind while trying our hands for the first time?
Okay, threats.
Professor Muthu, you can also ask.
Yes, madam. Really, it is a quite useful and interesting session. I have to appreciate both. My question, so in this context, what about the role of the teacher? What about the role of the students in teacher education? So I want to know, number one. Number two, so regarding the question paper, while framing the question paper by the teacher think about the background level of the students, whether they are brilliant students, whether they are average students. Accordingly, we have to prepare. So regarding this, what it can be listening yesterday. These are the things. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, the last question, last means for this, Dr. Minal, you can also then, I'll request Professor Pant and Ramesh to answer.
Thank you. Excellent, excellent. It's an incredible experience to enjoy this both of the lecture. My humble question is that I am apprehending that in undergraduate, even in school education, students may try to use these software to done their academic assignments and project works and etc. And their teacher may also try to do that. But there need to be have a certain kind of framework and guideline so that this could not be only making copy from the chat box and presenting as their academic caliber. There need to be have certain kind of restriction and framework so that the teaching community would be able to identify and segregate what is their contribution and how far they have contributed, their understanding, their creativity. Otherwise, it can be catastrophic for the entire generation. There is a possibility of chance. So they need a fine, thin line to demarcate that how you use this, how far it is user friendly, how we must not be slave of the system. So that is my concern I express here for this.
Sonia is on the queue.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, or we want to have answers first from
No, Sonia is asking.
Sir, thank you for giving the opportunity. I was just confirming from you experts that whether this approach is correct or not. Like I thought now after ChatGPT coming in, responsibility as an educator has further increased. Now I have to create my assignments very mindfully. For example, I told my children that visit these 4 URLs and study about what happened during the earthquake in Turkey. And then present through a mind map the critical points, how it affected the life and all. And then I said, when you do some research on the internet, please write the responses co-authored with and then mention the sources. Like if you go to BBC News, if you go to ChatGPT. So to my surprise, 50% class mentioned that the research is co-authored with so and so source. So am I right in my thought process that we as educators have to be open to this, that children will go to these sources? We have to put our best foot forward to make more creative assignments and take their critical thinking to the next level rather than be afraid of the problems that are coming up with cheating and all. We have to see how we can be smart to get their critical thinking keep going, their analytical things skills keep going. Taken for granted that these things are not going to go, we have to change our approach now.
Okay, your answers now.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to respond to this. I've thought over much of it. It's very clear that the present method of evaluation, which we always considered was not good, has to go. It is going to become meaningless because you can't stop people getting information from other sources. And as Sonia said, we have to move to something else. And the else that I am thinking of, and educators have to be retrained for that, is instead of looking at the answers, you evaluate the questions that the person is asking. So you say you have access to all this thing, this GTV, that TPP, RCS chat, everything is available. You know, the open book exam that we used to have. But in that open book exam, we said you have to give the answers from all this. Now what happens is I, as an observer, and Sonia said the role of the teacher become much larger, I will ask, what questions are you asking this person? I mean, suppose you're an economics student and you get a conversation with Amartya Sen. What do you ask him? That shows what kind of a learning you have. And you will notice, if you're an observer, that the kind of question that the person is asking, you will be able to analyze how well does he know and doesn't know it. Also, I want to say it's very interesting, and I don't know whether how much it is in practice, but when we were students at the university level, for every exam, there would be what was called a viva voce. It was not only what you wrote, what you say on the moment without any reference material. And therefore, there is absolutely, we stopped this because it was difficult to happen. But now there is absolutely no reason with this online method that I can't have viva voce of 10 minutes or 15 minutes with different people. So Sonia said the very right thing, that we have to get on and be innovative. We should not worry. All that we have to say is that method of evaluation is no longer meaningful. So what method of evaluation? Because we have some idea. We are evaluating when we say that is cheating. So when you're saying that is cheating, you're evaluating. So that's it. So this is the way it will go. And my own thing is that this is back to Socratic questioning method and this thing. So if you are face to face with Socrates and he is asking you questions, what are you answering? And here you're getting a chance to ask further questions. And this is what is going to become and more variance for this. So this is an immediate thought. And as we go, we will build that. See, just like teaching when there was no electricity and teaching when there was electricity was a new thing. When we grew up, suddenly PowerPoint slides became very important. When I all my life, I learned without PowerPoint slides. My initial years of teaching were without PowerPoint slides. Now we are so used to PowerPoint slides that many people can't start speaking until the PowerPoint presentation is on. So we will change with this and we will say these are no longer valid methods of evaluation and we will be able to find that out. Today, what people are doing is they're using, like they used to turn it in for plagiarism, they're using AI detectors. So AI content detectors are available. So you push that content into something, just like Turnitin said, what is plagiarized, what is not. This will tell you this is AI generated, this is human generated, and so on. Anyway, coming to the end of time, so I will stop.
Ramesh, you want to respond?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, number one about this detection, I already posted a link. It is GPT-0, which can tell that whether it is AI generated content or not. But my point is a little different here. And I want to say that we should be friendly with this software. We need to make it as our friend rather than thinking ki cheating ho rahi hai, plagiarism ho raha hai, something. You know, we are already doing that. Why are we going against the machine when we are doing the same thing with the human beings? we have the so many tools, like it started with Dell E. If you give the text to the software, it can draw diagrams for you. And nowadays it can, I know there are certain applications. If I tell the software, please make a PowerPoint presentation for me on the topic photosynthesis, I don't need, it will give me the PPT with the slides, with the text, with the images into it. I can create videos using these things. So, but previous to that, means now we are asking the machine, but we are already asking our teachers, our friends, our other people. It is same thing. So should we stop asking then the people also? From where we will get the knowledge? So that is one thing, that we need to make this software as our friend, so that. And there was one example in which in the I think it is the case of United States, where the teacher, when they found that this assignment by this student is wonderful, whereas he is not that bright, so he called that student and asked him, bhai such such batao kya kiya hai? And the student admitted, he sir, I used ChatGPT. And then the professor thought that there is no point in telling or asking him something, I need to change my strategy. And what he did, nowadays he says that, okay, you want to do anything, you can do it, but when I give you the assignment, the first draft you should prepare in the class right now here. The first draft, that will make your base. After that, you can go home, use any software, does that. I know the level of your thinking, and then. So we need to change strategy. As Pansar has said that now the assessment practices and other things, we need to be, modifying them in that context. Number one. And then Dr. Sinawli was asking about the threats. You note that you just need to create your ID, and after that it doesn't ask you much more things here. But the threat here is that the kind of response, the biasness, it may creep into it, the information, particularly for research scholars. If you ask the software to generate certain references for you, it can generate references, but we need to check that whether they really exist. Because, and if you ask that give the DOI also, it can generate a DOI, but if you go to that DOI, you may
You
find
won't
that
get it fake.
it is fake, it doesn't exist. So that is the threat, that you use it, but don't wholly depend on it with your eyes closed. That is the biggest, that which I think that. But it is going to be a changing, and particularly it is not going to stop. This is near, Google is coming up, other tools are coming up already, and being open source, you can use the API of the software and integrate it into your application. There is an application, those of you who are listening to me right now, there is an app, it is called as God in a Box. That is the WhatsApp equivalent of integrating Chat GPT into your WhatsApp app on your mobile phone. That is God in a Box. So you can go to the website and configure it for your, and then using your mobile phone, it can ask. But currently the free version gives you 10 responses a month. But that's also very interesting.
My question, and then I will request Sir Professor Mukhopadhyay for his comments, final comments, because we are nearing to the end of this webinar. Uh, the content we are generating on this Chat GPT, is it they are picking up from the OER or anywhere?
No,
So,
it is anywhere. It goes,
Anyway,
actually, it is that way. It is not picking up anything. It is taking the content from the large data set on which it has been trained. So it doesn't surf the internet that way, like Google search engine does. Whatever is already existing on the database at the back end, it first of all, it analyzes our question, our prompt, and then it breaks them into a logical sequence, and then immediately goes and that's why, because the computing power is enormous, it works within seconds, and then it goes to the text, computes, pulls from here there, and gives us the response. So it doesn't that say that it is OER or what. It simply goes to the information which is in its servers, pulls out it, makes it in appearing in a logical sequence, grammatically, which appears wonderful, and then gives us the answer.
Okay,
So there
thank
are
you.
two steps to it. When you ask a question, it uses what is called natural language understanding. And when it generates the answer, it's called natural language generation. And that is why it is called generative AI. So these are the two steps for this one. And this has been around for a while. See, chatbots have been around. You may have noticed in many sites, there is a chatbot with whom you can converse and so on.
Yeah.
Now they have become much more powerful and AI generated. Earlier, they were following a pre program. So people who were in that field were writing dialogues, like you write dialogue for a script or a movie. So they were writing dialogue between the customer and the customer agent and preparing all kinds of dialogue with all kinds of flows. Now, as Ramesh has said, this is AI created. So that's why I said it has a 60-year-old history, and now suddenly it has become a success overnight.
Yes, sir. That is the difference, that previously these kind of chatbots, the question and answers, they were fixed into it. It will
Correct.
just simply retrieve it.
Yeah.
The current situation is
Is they
learning
generate?
algorithms.
Absolutely. That's why I began with learning algorithm as the key definition.
Ji. Because it learns from our own inputs. Whatever we
Yeah.
are asking, the
Right.
software is learning from our answers, our questions.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much for this answer. Sir, now Professor Mukhopadhyay for his final.
Oh, muted.
Sir, unmute. Sir, unmute.
Sir, you have to unmute.
I thought I was always unmuted. I'll be talking more as an user, and my teacher is Ramesh. First important point that I want to make to my younger friends: if there is an innovation, rather than being apprehensive, try to be excited.
Yes, sir.
And that is what I follow. Because what Professor Pant has been talking, I have also been talking, no artificial intelligence can overtake natural intelligence. It's a cloning of natural intelligence, provided we use our intelligence. My rural analogy from where I come, when the flood comes, we don't start debating whether the flood should come or should not come. We start working how to protect from the devastation, and if the flood has receded, how to make use of the fertile residue left on our land. So ChatGPT, chatbot, Bard. In fact, there is a beautiful presentation from Paris on this. It's a video. There's one Indian gentleman who was leading that one on Bard. So first important point for my younger generation: feel excited, see what can be done. You cannot stop. Artificial intelligence cannot be stopped. And I fully agree with Dr. Pant and Ramesh and anyone. It will guide our life. It will impact our life. It is for you to decide whether you want to do it, what do you want to do it. You have no choice. Second part, which I have learned from the experience, another very interesting thing when you talk of assessment. In fact, the Vice Chancellor Conference is going to debate on assessment on next week sometime. The question is, we are holding on to the old styles.
Correct.
Just as there is a Socratic style, you can believe despite all the commotion in the parliament, there is a concept called starred question. When a question is asked, if it is starred questions, and we used to be sitting inside the parliament, because in response that is made by the minister, others can ask more questions, and normally ministers will not know the answer, so they will come back to us to say, how do I answer? Or in the interviews, selection interview, I have faced myself, we use a word called probing. Now, when somebody is answered, you go into more deeper, etc., to know how much really the person has mastered. Now, point is, we are wanting to hold on to old values, old styles, when everything has changed. My couple of experiences, which Ramesh did not say, so I'll say. One person asked, how do I smuggle cocaine in Europe? To ChatGPT. ChatGPT wrote how to smuggle, but after that he wrote, smuggling is not a good idea and is a punishable offense, and cocaine is a very bad drug. So this is also available.
Yeah.
Free advice is also available. Interesting thing is, which you can really use it. For example, many teachers say, I don't have time. भाई ChatGPT को कह दो कि I have to take such a class. Can you make a note for me? What I do after learning ChatGPT, I first ask question on the subject which I know myself, so that I can verify ये ठीक बोल रहा है या गलत बोल रहा है. Yesterday I asked 3 questions. One is technology assisted assessment. What is continuous assessment, and so on and so forth. And I checked. I realized it's correct answer. So first important thing, teachers can use it as a, which teachers don't do today. Majority of the teachers wake up from the bed and go to the classrooms. All those who are present here are absolutely exceptions. And we are the only exception in the whole country or the world. Most of them get up and go to the class. Now ask ChatGPT, it will give you, you have seen the demonstration I've been using. Hardly 1 minute, 2 minutes for 323 or 400 words. This is one thing. The beauty of it is, and that is where I don't have an answer, it can construct question, assessment question, it can also give you the answer. So teacher can construct the question and student can get the answer. So ChatGPT is both the teacher and the student. So one does not know where the human beings appear. The other important thing is, this I learned from Ramesh. Well, Ramesh asked, one of my book is coming in the next month on school effectiveness, and Vinay has written the foreword in that book. Ramesh, knowing that my book is coming, he wrote, please write so many words on school effectiveness the way Professor Mukhopadhyay writes.
Correct.
So he was not only collecting the subject, but he was cloning Mukhopadhyay. Fortunately, I saw that it could not clone because I use a language called Udamish. Udam is the name of my village, and English is the language which I don't know. So I make a mix of it, which I call Udamish. Now, ChatGPT does not know what is Udamish. So it wrote English, which I don't write. But important point which raises the question, that whole question is cloning is absolutely possible. And as I discussed with Ramesh and I discussed with others, they said if your presence in the internet is much larger, it will be able to clone you.
Right.
Because आपका बहुत ज़्यादा लेख नहीं है, so it does not yet get your way of expressing in English. It has to depend upon the actual English. So this is one serious question, what will happen? And my point is, you cannot stop. It's not ChatGPT. ChatGPT, Bing, Bard, all of them are coming around. And in fact, if you install 356, Microsoft 356, it gets you the editor, it gives you the dictation.
Sure.
And I found that it is as competent as Grammarly or Dragon, which I've been using so long. So AI is everywhere. It's a question is, how do you do it? And instead of your surrendering your superior intelligence to inferior artificial intelligence, better is you put a charger on your own natural intelligence, because that charge has gone. So just as you charge your phone, start charging your natural intelligence. It cannot be, artificial intelligence can never beat you, provided you have got full charge of your natural intelligence. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have to add this, that had in the training stage, Ramesh Sharma's advice, they had put Professor Mukhopadhyay's written works and labeled them Udangis, it would have done it. The point is, he doesn't have it. So this is what we will learn. And as you see, tomorrow, there will be a version for students and a version for teachers. And this is fairly straightforward. And I would recommend to all of you who are interested, there's a book called The Fourth Education Revolution by Anthony Seldon. The book is so interesting because it actually is the only book where it says clearly what are the 5 things that a student does in class, what are the 5 things that a teacher does in class, and all you have to look at is how will AI affect each of these activities. And in his book, it is about 2016 book, so it talks about things at that time. But now with ChatGPT, you can basically take those 4 or 5 things. He says very clearly, one of the tasks which the teacher does is that from all the knowledge that he has or he has access to, he culls out what will be relevant for this class of mine. So when you teach a BSc, you teach differently. You teach MSc, you teach differently. You talk to a research scholar, you talk to. This is the first part, and the AI will be very great in doing this. And as you know, ChatGPT will be even greater. So very quickly you
Yeah.
can say, give this, and but don't take it as such. You apply your mind to it. So that becomes a set of a quick draft of some kind, and then you apply your mind. And actually,
Very
I
good.
can't help sharing this story with you. When I was very young in school, in I don't know, class 6, 7, 8, whatever, my father had this habit of asking me, "What did you learn?" or rather, "What new did you learn?" and so on. And that time we had learnt about the equinoxes and the solstice. And like a good child, I had all the memory. Equinox, 15th March, uh, equal day, equal night. At the equator, it will come at 6 a.m., set at 6 p.m., everything. And my father is telling me at that time, a young person, class 5, 6, do you believe it? I said, I'm studying in St. Joseph's. Dudley Stamp ka kitab mein likha hai. So he said, that is not enough reason to believe it. And then we got together the idea that रोज अखबार में सनराइज सनसेट आता है, जाके देखो और देखो कि 15 मार्च को सनराइज सनसेट बराबर था कि नहीं. So this can be built in any time. वो AI chatbot कहे कि Dudley Stamp कहे कि कोई कहे, the idea that you will question. And I have lots of such stories. Mathematics कर रहा था, वो maxima की value minima से कम आ गई. So again, there was something to resolve. So this is the critical. That's why I use the word critical thinking. And I understand that all this is a piece of data. You have to process it and see what you're doing and how much can you look at it up.
Before,
And
thank you.
So
before Madhu thanks everybody, let me share with you. Learning is changing and learning will change.
yes,
In October, we are going to hold a conference on future of learning and education.
yeah,
Some of the important work, Dr. Pant is one, my own work, Dr. Sugato Mitra's work, Barry Zimmerman's work. We need to understand what is going to the learning. Because when you look at the learning pathway, starting with the station where we stand today, that is the cognitive construct, to knowledge creation, that pathway you need to understand. And contemporary thinking, a teacher must speak, which has obstructed learning for centuries together, that is going to change.
yeah,
Teacher is the only obstruction to learning because of teaching. So October, most probably we have not fixed the date. We are thinking 2-3 dates. One is 9th and 10th October or 27, 28 October. And some of you who are good in writing, I know Sauli is very fond of writing. Kashyap is one. Start preparing for your papers. Future of learning and education.
very good.
And you will have Dr. Pant there, we will have Dr. Sugato Mitra there. Let's see whether Zimmerman can be roped in. And I'll use definitely my friend Binoy to rope in some such international scholars.
Yeah,
So
good.
I thought
Very
I
good.
inform you in advance. We have not decided whether it will be online or it will be offline or it will be blended. Some
It
could
has to
offline,
be
some could
blended.
be
See, if you
online.
want to bring it people from abroad, keep the design blended. Whoever can
Yeah.
come is very good, but design should be
Yeah.
blended.
We'll do it blended. That's what is my thinking also. But in a different occasion, we'll have a smaller group meeting on this to
That
spell
is
it out.
correct.
Because my current understanding from the reading, the future of learning for the small children and future of learning for the big children are different. In fact, in one of the meetings where Dr. Pant was there, I was there. Whole national policy talked of pedagogy as if it's a generic term.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for the children. And you are talking higher education pedagogy. So people have forgotten the semantics, important semantics and
Yeah, yeah.
education. Anyway, my
Right.
submission to all of you that we'll circulate this information more to you,
Yeah.
but start working on this future of
Great.
learning and education. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Pan sir, thank you so much for your this analytical talk as always. So you inspire all of us, especially I say myself that you inspire a lot. So thank you so
Thank you.
much for
Thank you.
your today's presentation. Ramesh, thank you so much for a young colleague of ours and a member of the family. So thank you so much for this presentation. I'm sure each one of them, they liked this today's presentation. And we had quite a number of participants today, more than 60. So, but we will be organizing on the same topic, other webinars in the future also. And thank you, Professor